What is an angel investor and why are they so important? An angel investor is somebody who invests in the early stage of a company, giving that company a greater chance of success. And the reason why angel investors are so important is because all successful things needs the help of something bigger than them. And banks only give loans to established companies, and the government tax dollars is for the people and not for investing in startups. So without angel investors, most of the great companies that we see today may not exist. Angel investors take the greatest risk by investing in a company early. So it is only fair that they are the ones who receive the millions in return. And the best thing about becoming an angel investor is the fact that you don't need a college degree to become an angel investor. And unlike most other jobs in society, you don't need somebody to hire you to become an angel investor. You only need to invest in a company that becomes successful. So here are 3 things to remember that will help you to become a successful angel investor. 1. So the biggest thing that is stopping most investors from becoming successful is their miscalculation of what they consider to be a fair investment. So the investment industry looks like this. The seed round usually raises between $5,000 to $50,000 in exchange for 10 to 20% of the company. Next, the A round usually raises between $50,000 to $500,000 in exchange for 20 to 40% of the company. And the B round usually raises between $500,000 to $5 million in exchange for 10 to 20% of the company, and so on and so forth. And this is why so many people love being an angel investor. Imagine if you invested $200,000 for 20% of a company, which eventually becomes a $10 billion company. And now, your 20% is worth $2 billion, but you only invested $200,000. This is why angel investors love this. So, what seems to be the problem? If this is the industry standard, and over 99% of all startup companies follow this investment scale, what seems to be the problem? The problem is actually staring you in the face right now. And I can sum it all up for you in one sentence. Please listen very carefully. The average is always the failures. The average is always the failures. Think about it. Out of 100 online retail companies that exist, how many of them would you consider to be successful? The answer is only the top 1%. And the fact is that over 99% of all companies in any given industry is struggling right now. So I want you to remember what I'm about to tell you next, because this is the secret between a successful company and a struggling company. It is, if you pull a slingshot back 1 inches, the stone will fly forward 2 inches. But if you pull the slingshot 1 mile backwards, the stone will fly 2 miles forward. This means if you set a company up with average investments, don't be surprised if the company become just another average struggling company, like 99% of most companies in any given industry, because the average is always the failures. We all know that only the top 1% or the top 5 companies usually control 95% of the market shares in any given industry. Then, the bottom 99% in that same industry is barely surviving. So, why would you want to set up a young startup company for failure by investing according to the average investment standard? The problem is when these young startup companies sell 80% of their company and only raise $800,000, which is an industry standard, but most investors knows that most young companies are so desperate that they are willing to sell 80% of their company for $800,000. And after that young company hires a few employees and pay for a few things like rent, bills, and advertisement, most companies will burn through that $800,000 in 1 year. So now, how can this young company raise more money when they've already sold 80% of their company? Remember, that is an industry standard. And even if they sold another 10% and raised $100,000, even that is still not enough. And this is the problem that the average company is facing right now. And this is why I say the average is always the failures. But the fact is that most startup companies actually need about $5 million, which is like pulling the slingshot 1 mile backwards, so that this young company will have enough money to fly 2 miles forward. So, as an angel investor, stop thinking about the industry standard and stop thinking about owning 20% of a company for $200,000, and just ask yourself, what does this young company need, and how can I give them all the chance of success, and invest according to their needs. And this is what I call a fair investment. And the second thing to look for if you want to become a successful angel investor is smart leadership. So here are 4 qualities to look for in a smart leader. First is precision, which is the ability to accurately calculate the right equation for success. For example, most companies fail because their CEO said, "Too many surprises is happening that I did not predict." You see, surprises will happen, but the ability to predict 90% of surprises is really a special ability. And a CEO with foresight and precision will make the right decisions at the right time. And the second quality to look for in a smart leader is diligence, which is somebody who does not give up the fight. You see, it is impossible to finish a race if you stop early. But the only people who have the possibility of finishing this race are those who are still running. So diligence is a very important quality in a smart leader. And the third quality to look for is organization, because the lack of organization creates an atmosphere of confusion, which slows down the process of progress. So, organization is a very important quality in a leader. And the fourth quality to look for in a smart leader is clear articulation, which is not just the ability to speak clear, but it is the ability to explain things and have the entire team understand exactly what he or she is trying to say. Because without clear articulation, there will be no understanding. And without understanding, there will be no organization. And a lack of organization destroys the progress of the company. But with clear articulation, the entire company can be on the same page with the leader. So in conclusion, the 4 qualities to look for in a smart leader is: first, precision, which is foresight. Second, diligence, which is to never give up. Third is organization. And fourth is clear articulation. With these 4 qualities, you have a rock star CEO on your hands, and the chances of success is great. But believe it or not, just because somebody graduated from college with a degree does not mean that they are a great leader of a company. But most investors focus so much on their degree and miss the warning signs that they are not a good leader. And this is why so many companies are struggling right now, because their CEO is an educational genius, but a leadership illiterate. And the minute you understand that leadership is a special gift and not a degree, especially the ability to turn a company into a multi-billion-dollar company, then you will understand that when you invest into a company, you are really betting on the CEO. And the business idea itself is the secondary reason of why the company will be successful or not. So look for smart leadership. And the third thing to look for if you want to become a successful angel investor is scalable companies. Technically, all companies are scalable, but not all companies have the same scale potential. For example, if you look at all the fastest companies to hit $1 billion, most of them are tech companies with a digital product. Any company that needs factories and physical products and shipping and warehouse can still grow, but it will take some time. But companies like Facebook and Google's core business of advertisement was and still is a digital product. So in conclusion, you will become a great angel investor if you can remember these 3 things. First, invest according to a company's needs and ignore the industry standard. Second, look for smart leadership, which is precision, diligence, organization, and articulation. And third, evaluate the scalability of a company before you invest. And remember that digital products have high scalability. So if you practice those 3 things, you too can become a successful angel investor. Thank you.